It is Thursday, April 9th, and you are watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends at FanDuel. I am Rob Pizzola. I'm not Jason Cooper. Jason Cooper is not here today. He has been suspended indefinitely from the Hammer Betting Network. Now, I don't want to get deep into specifics here. Obviously, some things happen behind the scenes. You got to leave it that way. What I will say is that we have a certain standard to uphold here at the Hammer Betting Network. And when those standards are not taken seriously, people suffer the consequences. So Jason will be off air for at least 1 week. I'm Rob. I'm filling in today. We will move forward with a rotating panel of hosts. G-Stack George will be in this seat. Alex Moretto will be in this seat. Jacob the Giant will be in this seat over the course of Jason's suspension. Mike Bennett behind the boards, as always, keeping everything running nice and smooth. Shout out to Mike. Mike is doing a fantastic job here at the Hammer, unlike some other people around here.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. We got a massive show today. I mean, we really don't. It's a regular show. But I got to be in the business of promoting, right? I'm not going to let these circumstances derail us. Mr. Peanut Bettor's coming on in a few minutes here. NBA late season betting. Some big games tonight with real playoff implications. After that, Alex Moretto, So Money Sports. They are here for Edge Work Overtime. 14 NHL games tonight. 14. It's a lot. We're going to try to cover as many of them as possible, get you some angles to bet on. I've also got a bunch of NHL goal scorer props I've been sitting on, which I'm going to give out right at the end of the show today. Comes up in the Discord a lot, and I remember when I did Edge Work in previous years, always used to give out goal scorers. It's a thing. You want it, you got it. I'll give those out at the end of the show, so stick around for those. Before we get into it all, it's a beautiful morning. I guess we're midday now. But got up today, turned on the TV, got the Masters going on, underway at Augusta. Behind me, this wall behind me, is our TV wall on the other side. Sat down there this morning, enjoying the beautiful sounds of Augusta. And look, I'm going to say this. If you have ever in your life, because I saw this on X this morning, if you have called the Masters overrated, you can get lost. You can get fucked, really, is what I want to tell you. Because the Masters is one of the greatest sporting events that happens. Whether you like golf or you don't, I don't know how you can appreciate everything that Augusta brings. You know, the roars through the pines, the visuals, the Sunday back nine, Amen Corner, all that jazz. I know it's super hyped up, but there's nothing like it on earth. There really isn't. You know, I downloaded the Masters app again this morning. It'll be on my phone for the next 4 days before I uninstall. A tradition unlike any other for all of us as well. But if you don't like the Masters, just sit it out, man. Like, stay quiet. Don't get on your high horse and like, I don't understand how. It's fucking great. It's fucking great. It's so great that there's another live bettor out there right now that just bet every single player that hasn't teed off over for their first round matchups, first round scoring totals. I guess maybe the weather's supposed to get a little bit worse. It looks windy already, but pretty good stuff following the Masters. I'm glad we got the flag behind us in studio here. Man, looking at this leaderboard right now, Mike, Kurt Kitayama, 4 under through 10. Patrick Reed's up there, really hot start with the Eagle on 2. A lot of people were big upping Patrick Reed on the Masters Extravaganza this week. Tommy Fleetwood up there as well. Jose Maria Olazabal, I believe Golden Pants gave out Olazabal to miss the cut at minus 16 under, which is a Fezzik-like sweat right now. He just bogeyed, though. He bogeyed 14 to drop to 1 under. But I'm going to be following today and looking for some live bets. Unfortunately, I do not see any people that I have significant money on at the top of the leaderboard here. That's a problem. That's a problem. Bryson even par. All right, looking good. Before we bring on our first guest, I do want to remind you, at FanDuel, the Masters is underway. And they have a special mulligan bet back token, which is available right now during the event. It's ready to use right now. It's pretty simple. A bet back token turns any losing bet into a bonus bet for another try. So you've got protection. If you want to take a sleeper pick, make some sort of bold prediction over the course of the Masters, back someone to win it all, sure, go for it. You like someone for a top 5, you can go for that as well. Lock it in with confidence, because if it doesn't hit, you've got that mulligan in your back pocket. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to need many mulligans with the way that things have shaped up so far. Although, you know what? It's not a terrible start. A lot of the matchups, the person I bet against is always also doing crappy. So maybe you won't need that many mulligans. Head over to FanDuel.com/HammerDaily to get started and claim your mulligan bet back token for Augusta. That's FanDuel.com/HammerDaily. You got to be 21 plus in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation of Kansas Star Casino, 18 plus in D.C., Kentucky, and Wyoming. Opt-in required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. Terms are at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. 1-888-789-7777 or ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland, gamblinghelplinema.org or 800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, and 1-877-770-7867 in LA. All right, our first guest. You know him. He's been on this show several times before. I know him. He's someone that has a lot of takes. He appears on Circle Back on Fridays on the Circles Off channel, and apparently never backs down from a Twitter fight either. He'd know. He's currently in one. Mr. Peanut Bettor, how is it going?
It's going good. You know, Speaking of Masters mulligans, let's just go ahead. We'll get it out on the way. First tweet, terrible, dumb. If people don't know, I maybe supported Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel situation, saying it's not so clear what's going on here. The full story is I didn't see the zoomed out photo. So I thought if you just see the zoomed in photo, I was picturing a hotel pool, like say you're at Circa Swim. And I was picturing they went up, they greeted each other. I thought Mike Vrabel, you say what you want about his fourth down decision making, his IQ is above 50. He's not going to be in a public place like this flaunting an affair. That would be absurd. He's not, that's like ridiculous to think. When I saw the zoomed out photo, I immediately realized, oh, okay, yep, this is a bad look. It definitely appears to be what it seems. So, I was just firing takes off from the hip. Big mistake. Didn't have for the full picture. And obviously, looks really dumb now.
Yeah, so listen, this is some Hammer Betting Network on Hammer Betting Network crime here with you and Brad Powers going at it. Brad Powers, obviously one of the co-hosts of Hit the Books over on the Hit the Books YouTube channel. And, some people were messaging me on the side, maybe Moretto, and he's like, hey, Rob, you want to shut this down between these guys? I'm like, nah, let it go. I mean, every other network lets it go. You got Rico Bosco versus Jeff Nadeau. Maybe this is our version of that, Peanut.
I got to say, a combination of Bosco and Nadeau being involved, if I'm in that pair, that doesn't make me feel great, if that's my direct comparison. So I don't know if I would say that. Yeah, Brad came in, rightly corrected me on the first tweet. I said, hey, didn't see the zoomed out photo, you're right. And then, decided to keep going afterwards. And this is also a moment I got to reflect, Brad, I got to apologize to Brad. As someone who comes on and pretends to be one of the great CFB bettors as he's selling pick packages, he probably feels like a cuckold waking up every day. So he naturally felt a lot of remorse for Rossini's husband because he knows what it's like to feel that way. So obviously this struck a nerve with him. And I got to apologize. I understand why he would be so upset as he's felt this way many times.
I was thinking about launching the Hammer debate series, and we might have to do a Powers versus Peanut Bettor at this point as well. I'm not gonna be the guy that I toe the line. You guys want to have it out. I like each of you individually, and that's totally fine. But I'd like to see where this goes. I'm not gonna lie. If you had to be though one of Rico Bosco or Jeff Nadeau in this, who are you picking? Like, who do you want to be?
I don't know anything about Rico, so based strictly on that, I will pick him.
See, Rico Bosco, funny story. Barstool runs like some sort of trivia show that they do. And you have like it's almost like the phone a friend type of situation from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Rico Bosco calls up Brad Powers on that show.
That makes me Jeff Nadeau. I've never wanted to end a beef faster in my life than being compared to Jeff Nadeau.
Oh man, some good stuff. I'm interested to see where this goes. I also buried the lead here. You were bumped from the show yesterday.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, if I ever had to bump for anyone, it would be Matt Zilbert, the cat, coming on. It was Wednesday. You have to get him on Wednesday. Otherwise, people are going to be losing out on thousands, potentially millions of dollars, the way it moves the market. So, yeah, obviously, if I have to give my seat up to Matt Zilbert, it's the one person I would want to do it to.
Mm-hmm. That may have contributed to Jason not being here for a while as well. May have contributed to that. All right. I guess let's talk some NBA.
Yeah, some actual sports instead of something as dumb as Twitter beefs.
That's not, you know what? It's dumb, but, it's life fuel is what it is.
Yeah, we're about to get into summer here, so I'm got to imagine they're ramping up everywhere here as we have nothing to talk about, nothing to watch here. Just
on the Mike Vrabel front, I will say, obviously we know more information now than we did 24 hours ago, and your opinion, is changing as information becomes available, much like a bettor would change their opinion as more information becomes available. I was in Boston in March of last year, the infamous Elf eating all of the oysters event, which might have been exaggerated a little bit, but he did eat an insane amount of oysters. I was at the Encore in Boston, and I played blackjack with Mike Vrabel on one of those nights, and I gotta say, in public, you wouldn't expect like a coach of a team to be as, mucking it up with, it wasn't a private room or anything. It was just on the regular casino floor. It was a good time. So I saw the story. I'm like, you know what? I think he knows how to party. I believe this is real.
Pretty aggressive hitting on the blackjack tables.
There was some questionable maneuvers being made.
I've watched him coach football, so I know that risk management isn't necessarily a strength there.
Yeah, he's definitely not one of those guys that's showing up with the little card, the little cheat sheet of exactly when to hit or not.
Certainly, he's probably complaining about some analytics nerd telling him that he has to hit on 16.
Yeah, doing the exact opposite just out of spite, like many old school NFL guys would do. All right, late season and NBA betting. I think across every major league, I obviously bet more hockey and football than basketball. But you get to these situations where, it looks like right now 3 to 4 games left for most teams in the NBA. And that creates a lot of unknowns, right? Sometimes you get stars who get rested with no notice. Minutes are getting managed in different ways. Lineups are very unpredictable at this point in the year. Do you like late season NBA betting? Because I know a mutual friend, Kirk Evans, shut it down like a week ago and went on vacation. He's like, there's just so much going on in the final week of the season. I don't want to deal with this. But some people really view it as an opportunity. Where do you stand?
So it's a fantastic opportunity, especially if you are just starting, like the amount of big edges that are available, stuff that is just totally being priced wrong, tons of variance. It's a perfect opportunity if your tools aren't as good to find a way to like kind of ball knowledge and grit your way through it. I have found myself over the past, I think maybe the week before this is kind of my sweet spot. Once we get here, to be honest, it's just almost laziness of like, you really got to be on top of everything and really grinding this out. And I find that in the playoffs, limits go up a little bit. I have, in my range of like tools and stuff, I'm pretty good adjusting to playoffs. So I kind of take a break before I suffer burnout here. But that said, like that doesn't mean it's the right choice in terms of most available edges. Now, books have gotten better at like, they just don't put stuff up like they used to. This year, especially, I found like even at tip, I can't get a few players that I want to bet their props on. So I'm kind of taking it off, taking it easy. Books are, they're more aware that people are attacking these spots. But if you're willing to grind it out, this is, a fantastic spot, especially for your like semi-sharp bettors.
Mm-hmm. I have been willing to grind it out for the past 3 or 4 days, using a top-down approach for NBA props. And I can report back roughly a minus 10% ROI in the last 4 days, consistently betting spots that are like 5% edges at tip. So I've had a bad run of variance lately, cheering for some no-name losers that I've never heard of in my life, like over 2.5 assists in games. But, them's the break sometimes.
Yeah, the end of the year, you feel the dumbest. Like I had a bet the other day on Jeremiah Fears over points, and his point total is like 23.5. Jeremiah Fears is not a good NBA player. And there's like something still in the back of your lizard brain that's like, this guy is not good enough to get these number of points. And like I obviously thought it was a good bet and everything, but it's just, there's a real like shock factor of looking at this name with that total. Doesn't seem right.
Yeah. I don't know the players well enough to know if they're, so it's a little bit different for me, but I get it. I mean, I can see the same thing in other sports. Think of week 18 NFL a lot of times where you get like a backup quarterback in there and the passing yardage number looks really low. And then you're like, well, this guy actually absolutely sucks and might not even be able to complete a forward pass. So it happens in sports.
Yeah. The pain of trying to watch a guy get over a number that's just it's too low. So it makes sense, but it's just like the entire time it's like trying to draw blood from a stone where you're just watching Deshaun Kaiser throw the ball into somebody's feet. And you're like, can you just get 116 passing yards?
Yeah. I'm trying it was the third stringer for the Jets, Brady Cook last year, where I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a passing yards total of like 159.5. Like it doesn't make any sense. And then you watch the guy play and you're like, well, you know what? I got roped into that one. Let's see if we could find some bets on the hardcore. Knicks in Boston, hosting Boston tonight. And I don't know much about the NBA. Again, I'm not going to pretend that I do. Kind of surprised at the number when I looked at it. Maybe this is like the very square opinion here, but Knicks laying 4.5 at home to the Celtics, total 215.5. The stakes are still pretty real for the game. Celtics haven't locked up. I believe they need a win or a Knicks loss in the last 3 games to clinch the number 1 or the number 2 seed, I should say. So there is some seeding at play here. Do you think that this is at all driven by Boston not having a ton to play for, or is this like, how do you see this game?
Yeah, I mean, even at home, the Knicks would never be favored by 4.5 versus Celtics. At least, I'm not betting spreads regularly, but just from seeing enough of the spreads, I know that wouldn't be a line that would come out seriously if Boston was seriously trying for this game. So there's been, I've noticed, again, not betting it consistently, these motivational spots, the number seems to be a little bit shorter for the team that is better, that doesn't have the motivation. So it seems like somebody, very sharp too. I'm talking like it's closing at these numbers. It seems that there's somebody who has worked out does the pricing, how much does this motivation matter? I'm guessing somebody has gone through and kind of priced these numbers and said, okay, historically when a team needs to win versus when a team doesn't, they've done better in, these spots. So I think there's definitely something real there for Boston. They're also Boston's they're very confident in what they do as a team. They're much more willing to go stray from conventional wisdom. They're a team where if they decided that they were going to sit Derek White in the second half or sit 2 of their stars for the second half, it wouldn't totally shock me. So to me, that number is clearly just a motivation thing. The Knicks aren't 4.5 better, even at home versus Boston.
All right. 2 games tonight that are directly affecting the East. I'll call it the bubble in the East right now. Raptors are hosting Miami. I think in the last hour, the Heat have taken some money because I was looking about an hour ago and the Raptors were 4.5 point favorites, down to 3.5 at most spots right now, including at FanDuel. Pretty high total, 236.5 there. Then we have Philly at Houston. The Sixers are in the mix as well in terms of trying to climb out of that play-in tournament going into the year. Either of those games stick out to you? Anything that you like in these East? I don't want to say East matchups, but obviously Houston being involved in one of these games.
No, nothing I think in these 2 games. To me, honestly, if I were to be looking towards the end of the year, I want to look at games where there's nothing on the line and where basically you can kind of try to price in these teams' motivations, whether they're going to pull guys Maybe it's too early to fully pull guys in the second half, but guys are already starting to have their minutes dwindled and things like that. So to me, it stinks to say if you're like casually betting or a fan watching, but the games where the motivation is the clearest are the games where I think there's going to be the smallest edges here. And you're actually going to want to look for the games where nobody gives a crap about the game. So that's why you can find a nice edge.
Oh, funny you mentioned that because we got the Bulls and Wizards tonight, Mike.
Yeah, Bulls, Wizards, I would say in some of these spots where just nobody is playing in them, the players' prop totals kind of seem to be a little bit undervalued as far as, especially they just have to get minutes and these stats have to go to someone. It sounds like a very basic handicapping system. I'm not saying bet that blindly. I'm saying look for spots where guys are going to have increased usage compared to normal. And I found that generally kind of these like role players that are now thrust into main roles tend to have numbers that are based off their regular season averages, which aren't totally relevant to what they're doing now. So I think these guys that are former role players that are going to have an increased usage in the last few games, you can see that by basically looking at how, when they also have been shorthanded, how has their usage increased. Look for those kind of guys. I find that those are, especially now everybody's trying to bet overs based on that's the only kind of bets that you can get anything down on. Mm-hmm. I would look for those kind of reserve spots that guys are having increased roles where their averages for the season don't really represent what they're doing right now.
Do you follow live markets with NBA as well? Because I got to imagine that you would see significant opportunity late in the year there as well, just by being quote unquote ball knower and something going on in the game where you're like, okay, now this is fundamentally shifted and maybe the odds haven't caught up yet.
Yep. So 2 years ago, I bet on Cleveland to win the game because I thought they would have the motivation to win the seed. It turns out Cleveland did not want to win the game. And I desperately had to go in and try to bet off the other way. And I just didn't, I don't have a live model. I'll say that this was, all field. But when the Cleveland Cavaliers started putting out Tristan Thompson, Amani Bates, Pete Nance, guys whose brothers were more famous in the NBA than them, I just don't think that the books are designed to adjust quick enough on that. So it's basically you versus a live trader rather than you versus a market. So can the live trader react to the news as well as you can? So that's basically a good spot in there where you're not facing a real defined market. Instead, it's you versus a live trader. Can you know ball better than them, essentially?
Yeah. And in your case, you know ball.
Yeah, sometimes.
Before I wrap up with you, I want to do a big picture West conversation here. OKC's 64-16. Spurs are 61-19. Again, as a fringe NBA fan who mostly bets player props, I don't really have any reason to keep up with records on a regular. I'm actually surprised that the Spurs are at this level. It's two of the best records we've seen in the same conference in many years. If these teams were to meet up in the Western Conference Finals, what do you think would be a rough series price here, assuming that the Thunder would be a home team and let's just say all things remain equal where there's no significant injuries to either side?
So I really think that this is an interesting case because to me, if you're, thinking about how you're going to adjust a team, the Spurs are going to be adjusted throughout the playoffs at a rate that's much faster than what Oklahoma City is. So if the Spurs are just rolling through the series, if they go 4-0, 4-1 in their first two rounds, to me, I think the price is going to be significantly different than if they're winning game 7, then facing Oklahoma City. One, they're just a younger team. So the grind of the NBA playoffs where you're playing all this time, Bettor certainly hasn't been through something like that. He's kind of played a reduced minute total so far this season. So not only the grind of that, but just generally, we don't know how good they're going to be in the postseason. And if they start to look like they've really taken off, because they've gotten better consistently throughout the year, they're a very young team. If they start to really take off here, I think the number shortens. As it stands currently, say there's no rating change to each team. I believe that Oklahoma City's closer to a minus 300, but that's, to me, if San Antonio gets to the Western Conference Finals, they're much more likely to have shortened that number than if we just rated them off right now.
I'm going to give you a hypothetical question that makes absolutely no sense, but I'm just curious in your answer here as well. Let's say, as of today, someone comes up to you and says, Mike, if the Spurs and Thunder meet in the postseason, you are going to have to bet one side, not knowing what the odds are going to be right now, not knowing what those odds are going to be. But no matter what, you are going to have to take Oklahoma City or San Antonio, who would you be more likely to take?
Right. So I'm projecting basically, do I think, where will I be compared to market at that time?
Correct.
And I think that the market has underrated OKC's future odds pretty consistently all season. To me, they're pretty clearly the best team. Last year, I thought that their odds were rated on futures markets. And if you looked at last year's series, when you went through it, they were really rated like below what they should be on a series by series basis. So to me, Oklahoma City's been underrated in the futures the entire time. So that's what I would say.
Audio here with Mike, but I got the gist of it. Should be potentially good to go here. No. Well, you know what? This is what happens when you support Matt Zilbert at the Hammer Betting Network. They just try to end you. I don't even know.
Books,
there you go.
The books don't want me to give out my answer here. That's why I was cut off at the last second there.
You've been silenced.
Trying to prevent me from saying OKC's going to win the title.
You know, I've heard similar from mutuals as well in terms of thinking that, you know, the Thunder, while still being like, you know, pretty heavily I don't want to say juice, but like probabilistically speaking, there actually might be some room on the Thunder still right now. And I know a lot of people go into the playoffs, they're always looking for an underdog to back, and you know, it's not exactly the most appealing thing in the world to lay it on the line with the best team in the league. But I've talked to some others who are also in the same boat, Mike.
It's a boring take, but again, if you go through last year and you price out series by series, and they got a little bit lucky with Indiana being out of the East, that probably was a bigger dog than otherwise. But if you price it series by series, and if you compare that to the price you could have gotten early on, and I don't think that Oklahoma City got a particularly favorable path beyond average, slightly maybe, but if you break it out, then OKC clearly would have been a good bet at the time, and I think that same thing exists now.
All right. Well, always a pleasure, Mike. We'll let you get back to the Twitter war. We're rooting for you, or against you, I guess. I haven't fully decided who I'm rooting for yet at this point. I seem to like both of you, but, you know, onwards and upwards, and hopefully you can win the good fight.
Yep, sounds good. See you, Rob.
All right, Mr. Peanut Butter, appreciate you. We'll chat soon. Before we get to the Edgework, guys, if you're enjoying the show, take 2 seconds, smash that like button down below. We have not been getting enough likes on this channel, and it's partially because we don't ask for them, but it goes a long way for us. Just smashing that like button, whether you're watching live or you're watching after the fact, it's a signal to YouTube that you're enjoying the content. So for this show, for future shows, takes 2 seconds. Do it. Subscribe now if you're new as well. If you're watching the replay, same thing. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. All right, quick thoughts on something that happened in the NHL before we bring on Alex and So Money here. Connor McDavid last night, hat trick and 5 points last night against San Jose. Now, I hate comparing eras in sports. I don't like the Jordan versus LeBron debate, generally speaking. I think it's largely a pointless exercise because so many things change over the years, right? You look at how the NBA was in the early 90s versus the way it's been for the past decade. The game changes, right? But I'm going to say this anyways. Connor McDavid is the best player to ever lace up the skates. The best ever. He will never have a 215-point season like Wayne Gretzky will. You don't need advanced stats for this take. You don't need to compare stats or whatever. You don't need plus minus. You don't need coursing. You don't need what. You just need eyes and the ability to see. Like, if you watch the guy play, it is absurd. And I never saw Wayne Gretzky in his prime. I'm born in the mid-'80s, so I saw Gretzky with the Kings and like the latter point of his career with the Blues. I saw Mario Lemieux when I was young. You know, my father would rave about Bobby Orr and whatever. I didn't see these guys in their prime, but I'm telling you, they do not compare to the skill set of Connor McDavid. They just don't. It's simple. I mean, again, I don't want to compare eras, but, you know, you look at hockey from the 80s, and you could cross the blue line and take a slap shot along the ground, and it would go in the net. You could score wraparound goals. Like, this just doesn't happen in the modern game, and he is so far above everyone from a pure talent perspective. Another crazy game last night. If he never wins a cup and the Oilers never win a cup, it will not be on him. It will be on the stupidity of the management around him for so many years to not be able to get them over the hump. Because at the end of the day, as good as Connor McDavid is, he's not more valuable than like the best goalie in the league throughout a playoff run. He simply isn't. He's on the ice for 20 to 25 minutes a game. He's not even on the ice for 50% of the game. This is not the NBA where he could play 48 minutes. So I see this stuff all the time, and it really stemmed from Canada losing at the Olympics to the U.S. in terms of, McDavid can't win the big game and he disappears down the stretch in these series. It's a load of shit, man. The guy is so good. He is absurdly good. The best to ever do it. Full stop. That's it. Wanted to get that off my chest. Edge work time. So money, Alex, good to have you guys in here. How are things? Moretto, I see the Habs hat. You got to be excited this time.
Always.
It's been a rough run for that garbage franchise for a long time now, but you got to be excited this time.
Yeah, they haven't made the Cup final in like 4 years, so it's been a long time, as you can, I'm sure, relate to being a Leafs fan.
I mean, I don't know why I started with that. It was a very, very big mistake going down that path. 14 games today, guys. Big card. We'll cover whatever we got. You tell me if you want to move on, if you want to move faster. I know that we've tried to squeeze this segment down a little bit, and the people were not having it. In the Discord, they're like, no. We need opinions on every game, so we'll do it. But if the game sucks, we're going to move on. We're going to move on. And the first game might suck because it's the Leafs and Islanders at 6:45 Eastern. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why it's scheduled at that time. Leafs are already eliminated. Washington shut them out last night. Islanders fighting for that wild card spot. They've fallen off a bit over the last little while. Moretto, I'll start with you on this one. Anything with the Leafs and Islanders tonight in the early start?
So I bet a little bit of this over 6 minus 120 last night because I went, not even last night, like early in the first period of yesterday's game when Stolarz got hurt. I really thought that the over would take a ton more money than it has just because of the potential for the Akhtiamov start, which now has since been confirmed. It was confirmed last night. I really want to come back on an under, but I'm not quite getting a number that I want to do it with yet. Leafs just cannot generate whatsoever. I know they're bad defensively, and we got a very much an unknown in net and a debut guy here, a young goalie making his first start. Isles' first game under DeBoer, you figure they're going to want to tighten things up a lot more defensively. That's kind of going to be a focus for him, and they have struggled to generate offense too. Obviously, the Leafs defensively a little bit leaky, but I was hoping this would run more and we could get there is a minus 105 on the under at one spot, which I think is good. But across the board, we're not getting minus 110 at FanDuel is decent. But if we can get that minus 1.4 more widely available, I think I would play back on this and bet some under because neither of these teams able to generate much offense. And you just have to hope and pray the Leafs cannot be an absolute wreck defensively.
Yeah, Artur Akhtiamov, obviously a pretty big unknown for this game. So money. Yeah. I personally don't love these types of games where you have a huge unknown coming into net. I don't really know how to price these guys, and I don't follow them in the minor league system. I don't know so money if you got anything here.
Yeah, so Alex spent a long time on this game, and I have absolutely nothing. I think I've been waiting to fade the Islanders. It's worked out well lately. The team's dead. Leafs are dead. I don't know who this goalie is, and it's rare that I don't know who this goalie is. So I have no idea. I've got nothing on this game.
All right, let's move along here. Maybe you got something on the next one. We got the Flyers and the Wings. Flyers have been playing some pretty good hockey lately. They've moved themselves into the playoff mix. The Wings, as usual, very, very inconsistent. Detroit's a small favorite here at home. So money, minus 120 at FanDuel, plus 100 to Philadelphia. Total in the game is 6, juiced slightly to the under. What are we doing with the Wings and Flyers?
Yeah, I think that we've been betting the Flyers. We bet them last game. And again, plus money, Philly, the way that they've been playing, it's fine. I did bet them. I like them at plus money. My only slight concern with the Flyers is that even though we won in their last game, you have to take score effects into account, but they didn't really look good against the Devils. The score was 5-1. Yes, they probably took the foot off the gas a little bit. That's fine. But they didn't their level of play was not how it was or it has been previously. So slight concern there, but a little subjective here. But the way that the comments were coming out of that Detroit locker room after the Columbus loss, that looks like a team that knows the writing's on the wall. They looked very defeated, and it's really tough to come back on a team like that when they are basically telling you, conceding that their season is over with the way that they reacted after that game. So yeah, I played the Flyers. Plus money. I'm on the Flyers here.
Moretto, I'm on the under in this game. Under 6 at, minus 114 right now is where it stands. I'll post all my total numbers into our Discord later on, discord.gg/hammer. I figured for a 14-day card, I might have a lot of totals plays. I really don't, but this was one that I liked. Vladar and Gibson confirmed here. Not sure what you have on this one.
Yeah, I definitely lean towards an under. I didn't bet it. I agree with so money too with the Flyers. This is one of those weird games where I'm a little scared to bet. I feel like late in the year, you have to kind of be willing to more throw numbers somewhat out the window and look at what you're actually seeing here. And where is this number 2 weeks ago? Because Detroit are much bigger favorites in this game a couple weeks ago. But I agree that I think that loss the other night just broke them. It broke their spirit. It broke it basically ended their chances of making the playoffs. They do seem like they've kind of accepted their fate here. And this has happened to them several years in a row. So it's a very familiar feeling. So I agree that I could only bet Philly here, but I just don't love the number on it. And if they are broken and kind of concede here and things get a little, messy for them, they can see Philly kind of scoring a bunch of goals here. So it kind of scares me off and under too. But Detroit can't generate, Philly playing really well defensively. So I definitely agree with both of your looks, but I bet nothing here myself.
All right. Huge Atlantic Division game tonight. Arguably the best game on the board would be the Habs and the Bolts. Both teams on 102 points right now, fighting for seeding. It's a big one, Moretto. You obviously have, the Habs bias. You can't turn that off. But you also have been a fan of the Bolts this year as well, for the most part. How do you see this one, Montreal and Tampa?
I talked about Tampa defensively, how much better they've been playing. We see how much better Montreal has been playing defensively. We're some positive news for the Tampa front, at least getting Cirelli back tonight. Not getting Hagel, but they are getting Cirelli back, which, I think only helps them defensively. I don't know. Montreal feel like they've they have a chance to win the division here. Obviously that's important to them, but Marty is doing some weird things with this team where Goulie's been out of the lineup for some maintenance because they want to rest him for the playoffs a little bit. They have their lines kind of in a blender trying to because they have so many forwards now that are healthy and they're trying to see what works and see, outside of that top line, build some chemistry. So it feels like while they obviously want to win the division, I don't know how much they're putting into this. I don't know. I wanted to bet Tampa, but I really needed Hagel for it. I need Tampa to cash these Atlantic futures, and I think this game's kind of lined fairly, and I'm basically just going to sit back and I don't want to say win-win because my heart is with Montreal and I want Montreal wins more than anything at this point. But a lot of money in Tampa to win the Atlantic. So I would not be, let's say, miserable if Tampa did find a way to win this game.
I think so money, honestly, I think this is a pretty big swing game for Montreal because to me, home ice for them in the playoffs would be, they have a big rink, very loud fan base. It's a really tough spot to play in a playoff game or series. So I figure, hosting a playoff series for them is definitely something, to really play for here. That said, I do agree with Alex. Just subjectively looking at the price, Tampa small favorite makes sense to me. Total where it is right now makes a lot of sense to me as well.
Yeah, and I bet it as well. I think that you guys touched on it. It's also the way that Montreal has been playing. So they played well up until the game against the Devils, where they didn't look good at all. They didn't look good in the Florida game either. So it kind of leads me to believe that their play may be dipping a bit. You look on the other side, though, Tampa Bay just came off a 6-2 loss to Ottawa as well. So it's not like they've been playing well either. But in terms of pedigree, the way I look at it is that like if I'm right in that I think that Tampa Bay is better than their current form, I'm willing to discount a bit to counter the price that I'm getting. So the price that I'm getting on Tampa Bay is something that I need to take advantage of if I do think that they're the better team, which I do. So I'm on the I'm on the Lightning here. I got them up to minus 124.
All right. So money on the Lightning. Let's finish off these early starts in the Eastern Conference here. We'll lump 3 games into one. We got Florida, Ottawa. It looks like Ottawa is getting someone back tonight. I did see like way ahead of schedule. Thomas Chabot's coming back, and he was expected to be out longer, so that'll play a factor there. And then obviously the Senators are in the quote unquote need to win spot versus a team out of the playoffs. So there's a premium there. We got Pittsburgh and New Jersey, Alex, as well, where Penguins still fighting for positioning in the Metro. Devils are eliminated. That one's a coin flip. And we got Columbus, Buffalo as well. Buffalo beating the Rangers, sitting at 104 points now, leading the Atlantic. Blue Jackets, outside of the playoff picture, looking for a way back in. Alex, I'll throw to you here first. Those 3 games in the East, anything that catches your eye there?
So it's funny, you mentioned the premium you have to pay on Ottawa right now. I don't think it's enough of a premium. I think the market is struggling to price Florida right now with now Seth Jones and Kulikov also both out. This is like the nightmare matchup to have no defense. Not because Ottawa's forwards are so good, but because Ottawa's so good at keeping you hemmed in your own end. They're forecheck, they're relentless, they're so good playing on the puck and keeping possession. I don't see how Florida's going to break out of their end and like play with the puck enough to not get absolutely shellacked in this game. I think I played minus 1.5, minus 110, and minus 112. I bet both. So there's still like shy of minus 120 available. I think that's fine. This Florida team has 5 AHL defensemen going tonight. It's basically Forsling and then a bunch of guys you've never heard of. It's really rough, and this is a terrible matchup for it to come. So I like that. I also bet the under in Columbus and Buffalo, but 6.5 minus 125 is like the best I'm seeing now. So I think that's kind of gone. But if you can get a minus 120 or better, I think that one's still good too. We got the Jet Greaves start, and obviously another one of those games that like kind of playoff style atmosphere. It's going to be a very, very important game for both teams. Lends itself to a bit more of a defensive style, and I like the way Buffalo's kind of tightened things up a little bit here, not generating as much, and Columbus obviously kind of in a similar boat.
For your Ottawa take there, I agree. One of the challenges I used to have back in the day when we get to this point in the year was I'd always talk about how you're paying a premium on this team because they're motivated. And then I would bet the bad teams in all these games and I would just lose a bunch of money at the end of the year. And it took me a while to realize, well, actually the motivation does mean something. Great points on Ottawa. They're a wagon. The real problem with them on any given night could be Ullmark, who I think is confirmed now. So I like the idea of looking at like dumb alt spreads on Ottawa tonight, like minus 4.5, plus 710 at FanDuel, stuff like that, where, you get the full wagon form. I would never lay minus 330, knowing Ullmark is behind there, and you could outshoot them like 40-20 and still end up losing the game. But I like that look. So money with these Eastern games. Anything else that catches your eye?
Yeah, so let's get Florida, Ottawa out of the way. I was like that as well. Sometimes I still am. That in terms of betting a team like Florida here, we're into the minus 300s. Obviously they're inflated, and it's not like Florida is not playing at all. I thought that Florida played a really strong game against the Habs in Montreal. Right, so it's not like that they packed it in. But you guys are right. It's just one of those situations where even at this number, I still need a lot more to bet on Florida. So I'll have nothing on this game. Columbus, Buffalo should come as no surprise. There's a plus right there next to Columbus. Mm-hmm. So give me that. Their play has ticked up again the last couple of games here. That was a their game against Winnipeg, I thought they played very well, and I thought they played well in a very tricky situation against the Red Wings as well. So I think that their play is starting to tick up. I do like, if they're going to continue this form, I would like it to. It's good that it's starting now again, and then we can ride it into the playoffs and into the Stanley Cup final with the Blue Jackets. And in terms of the Pittsburgh New Jersey game, I did play the Devils as well. I'd like them to -116. The Devils are a little bit tricky because they go through stretches where it looks like they're just checked out, but right now their play has actually ticked up, and I think that everything I'm hearing from that camp is that they do want to end the season strong. And again, I've mentioned this before about the Penguins. It's possible that I could be completely out to lunch. I keep waiting for them to. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's not happening, but I gotta stay true to it. So played the Devils and I played Columbus.
Before we get into the rest of our games here, I think most bettors. I don't know if you guys, Alex and So Money, have like this guy in your group of friends, but I have, the guy in my group of friends that whenever he messages me, it's like the book it Trent effect, right? It's like he messages me that he really likes something and I'm on it and I'm like, Jesus, I got to find a way to pivot. Just got a bunch of all caps messages. Shabbat back, baby. Sens now have full power play, baby. And I don't like where this is going, because this guy, he's not the kind of guy you want to be aligning with, Moretto. It's tough.
Yeah, kind of like Jason. When Jason sends something in the Hammer chat, I'm like, oh boy, that's got to buy out of this one.
Oh man, that's a tough one. All right, 8:00 starts, or 8 in the 8:30 window. We got Jets and Blues. Both teams are like on the wild card bubble technically, I guess. They'll feel like this is a meaningful game. At 8:30, we got Carolina, Chicago. Carolina clinched the Metro. Chicago's eliminated. This feels like a quote unquote dead game, so to speak. And on a 14-game slate, I'm not paying a lot of attention to Hurricanes and Blackhawks. But you know what? We could bet these. So money. Jets, Blues, Blackhawks, Canes. Anything in that at 8:00 window?
So nothing in the Blackhawks-Canes game, and it should come as no surprise again. I did play the Jets. I just like this team. I like the way that they're playing. I hope that they can find a way to sneak into the playoffs. I dream of retirement with the Jets-Columbus Stanley Cup final. And I think that if this team does get into the playoffs, I think that they're going to be trouble. And I hope they have enough. I hope they find a way. In terms of tonight's game, they're just priced too low. And we've been seeing that quite a bit. They have played well, and they've started getting results as well. So this is a Jets team that I'm going to keep playing. And even though it's in St. Louis and I think the Blues are fine, it's just I just got to keep playing the Jets here.
Yeah, Binnington, Hellebuck confirmed there. I actually like under 5.5 plus 100 in Jets Blues at FanDuel. That's the best price in market. Alex, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, that's the only bet I got in this game. In these two games, is that under. Yeah, best price in market too, like you said, at FanDuel. So that's nice to be able to time that with the show here. I mean, St. Louis, they're getting the goaltending finally, and that's all just sort of fallen into place for them since that. Like, you think about where this team could have been if Binnington didn't sewer their first half of the season. But man, I mean, like, they look like a playoff team. They have looked like a playoff team since the Olympic break. Now that they're finally getting saves, Winnipeg, I agree with you, So Money, but I also think that their play they were playing at such a high level for a little while there. It's hard to keep that up consistently, and I have noticed some signs of it starting to tail off a little bit now in the last few games. It looks like maybe they're running out of steam. Hopefully Hellebuck can keep them in this one and keep this one tight. But yeah, I do like that under 5.5 plus money, as it moves a little bit there. But hopefully everyone got in there and stuck around for a little while.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I would play it across the board at any number, but obviously you gotta like.
Yeah, the -105 is fine too.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Really nice game in the West tonight between the Stars and the Wild. Potential playoff matchup here. Wild sitting on 102 points, Stars at 104. What's your read on this one, So Money? Stars and Wild. Anything to do here?
Yeah, so Dallas should. So this is one of those games where you take two teams that should be even, and you put a home tag on the team playing at home, and you call it a day. However, I don't like the way that Dallas is playing. I've talked about that quite a bit, and I think that when we talk about motivation, I think that this game probably means more to the Wild. Dallas knows who they are. They know what they want to do in the playoffs. Minnesota is trying to get over the hump, and I think that in a game like this, where you probably know that you're going to face each other in the first round, you want to look at who this game matters to more. And I think that if you are just telling me that we just put the home price on Dallas, then I'm going to tell you that they should be evenly priced. So I see value in the Wild at plus money. We're getting up to plus 105 here, and I'm really good with that.
All right, plus 104 at FanDuel. FanDuel does have the best price in market on this over, Alex. Unfortunately, I lean very strongly the other way towards the under.
Yeah, I would lean that way too. I don't have a bet on the total. I gotta say, I like the Wild too. Not quite at any plus money. There's a plus 111. I was looking for plus 110 here to like give this out fully. But I mean, if so money likes it, I'll go double best bet here. I like the way the Wild are playing a lot more than Dallas. And I think there's a little bit of a hidden sort of edge, like you talked about so money. Dallas, a team that's been there a lot before over the last several years. I think getting home ice in round one, knowing you're going to have to go to Colorado in round two anyways, is very negligible for them. Like, they don't really care. I mean, it would be nice, but it's just like a little bit of a bonus. It's not something they're going to be like desperately trying to hunt down. Whereas Minnesota, a team that hasn't made it out of the first round, I can't even give you the year. What was it, like 2004, 7 or something, like, I don't know. But it's been a long time.
Beat the Canucks.
Yeah, I remember that. And it was what? It was Minnesota Anaheim conference final that year or something like that. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was a fun year. It matters to them. Like, it's going to matter to them a great deal. I like the way they're playing. Dallas really just kind of stuck in mud. I feel like they're just waiting for the playoffs at this point to flip a switch. So plus 110 or better for me. I like the Wild, but if so money says plus money, then who am I to not double best bet this with them?
There you go. Wow. Just like old times.
What are numbers?
Yeah. Two other games in the 9 o'clock window in the West. We got Calgary, Colorado. Colorado, pretty significant favorite, minus 315 at FanDuel. Nashville, Utah. Utah, minus 166 at home in that one. Alex, I'll go to you here first. Calgary, Colorado, Nashville, Utah. Anything in those two 9 Eastern starts?
I got nothing in either of those. I will say I do kind of notice that Colorado's, now that they've clinched first in the West, they are starting to ease up with some of their top guys. McKinnon's playing less, Nichushkin's playing less, especially Nichushkin. Like, I've noticed that his minutes have really, like, he was averaging like high teens, close to 20. Now he's down to like 15 over his last 5 or 6 games. A guy who's battled injuries all season. I think he's someone who maybe they're trying to just rest up. So I want to go and just like bet unders on player props on some of these top guys, but they also just played Calgary and limited minutes for these top guys and smacked them 9-2.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hesitant to do that still, but like something I've noticed here, maybe not in this spot, but maybe over the next few games, something to look for with Colorado, maybe some unders on some of those guys.
I'm not going to lie. I am somewhat tempted with a Calgary bet tonight. We got the Blackwood confirmation. He's played well this year, but he's been the worst of the 2 goalies. I mean, this is very old school thinking, but it's actually backed in data as well, especially teams coming off of like a really bad blowout loss against one opponent and kind of getting up for that the next game. It's sort of a point of pride, and that's reflected in data over the years. That's an underdog I think I can get behind. I mean, especially when you're getting plus 1.5 at plus money as well. I don't know, so money. You might have to talk me out of it, but I have been looking and eyeing Calgary all morning.
Yeah, and I can't talk you out of it because I did bet it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Colorado's been up and down, and Alex alluded to this. especially the last little bit here. I'm looking at their charts here for their games. They have alternated good games and bad games for like a while now, and I mean the the results go back and forth, whatever. But the way that they've been playing, that's been going back and forth for like quite a bit. So and Calgary, they didn't look that good against Dallas, but they were right there in that game. And I think that Calgary's one of those feisty teams too that like can like stick around, and that's all really we want them to do in this game. Just stick around long enough to make it interesting and hopefully pull it off at the end. And if that's what that I'm thinking at that price, I just had to do it. So I do have Calgary. I have them down to plus 250. So like it's still quite a bit of ways to go, but I did bet Calgary in the Nashville-Utah game. Utah's inflated. They're clearly inflated, and I have been betting Nashville for quite a bit, but I can't do that tonight, though. I like the way that Utah's been playing. Nashville, they've been good to me, but I think that they're running into a tough situation here in Utah.
All right, so Money, we'll wrap up with the late window here. 3 games, kicking off, dropping the puck at 10 Eastern time or later. I don't know. Kicking off is just it's a bad habit, you know. A lot of sports I follow are kicking off. Vegas, Seattle. Vegas has been playing some better hockey lately. Winners of 4 straight. Seattle not officially eliminated yet, but they're certainly on their last legs. We got San Jose, Anaheim. Sharks lost to Edmonton 5-2 last night. Their playoff odds took a decent hit with that. Anaheim still battling for positioning with the Oilers and the Knights. And then we got Vancouver and LA. I mean, I can't even believe the Canucks are only at 52 points. Is truly pathetic at this point. But also don't love seeing the Kings in a minus 280 range either. So I'll let you, So Money, go through this late card here if there's anything that stands out to you.
So something does stand out, but let's get rid of the other two first. Vegas, Seattle, nothing there. Obviously, we got the new coach bump in Vegas. Seattle's dead, so I got nothing there. San Jose, Anaheim. I would have liked to bet Anaheim here. Even considering the way that they've been playing and how much I've been betting against them lately, but just can't do it at that number. That brings us to Vancouver, Los Angeles. So I do have a bet here. You look at the price on the Kings, right? And like my first thought was, what are we even doing here? There's a must-win situation here for the Kings, right? Like they have to win this game, whatever. You know why you're playing a must-win game on April 9th in Vancouver? Or in LA against Vancouver, is because you suck. That's why you're playing a must-win game right now, right? So there's no reason whatsoever for the Kings to be priced like this. They still suck. I concede the Canucks suck more, but I'm getting the odds for that. So I did bet the Canucks. And it's similar to the Calgary game where all you want is the Canucks to just hang around. And it's not like the Canucks are playing terrible. They're just not a good team. And but bless their hearts, the effort is there. So I just need the Canucks to just hang around here a bit.
You say bless their hearts, bless your heart, So Money, to put your hard-earned money on the Vancouver Canucks, man. I don't know if this season has taught you anything, but that team is an atrocity. Moretto, anything late games?
The one thing I like at current would be Vegas, Seattle under 6 plus money. I think that's good. Vegas really, really tightened things up defensively over the last little while. I know it was Vancouver, but 11 shots allowed the other night. They have been consistently playing good defense for a little while now, and they're just getting into like playoff mode. I think I've talked about this Vegas team. I like this Vegas team a lot, honestly. Their numbers never dipped, even when they had to, go in there and fire Cassidy and all that. Like this is a really good hockey team. I think a team that I know So Money are Oilers, but I think a Vegas team that, based on how the market's kind of pricing everything right now, I feel like it's a Vegas team that I'm gonna have some interest in, come playoff time. But yeah, Seattle just dead team, cannot generate whatsoever. A little bit leaky defensively, but I don't think Vegas necessarily a team to fully take advantage of that. So I do like this under. Now that the over's taken a bit of money, we're getting plus money on this under 6. I don't have the same appetite for Vancouver as you. Definitely not laying it with the Kings. I will say San Jose Anaheim. Maybe it's because I hate myself. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I bet that San Jose Anaheim, San Jose Edmonton under last night.
Yeah.
Once we got to 7, got a push. Was maybe lucky to get a push considering there were 7 goals in the first 2 periods, but was also maybe unlucky considering there was like 3 expected goals at 5-on-5 all game, just like power play after power play. So San Jose just not generating offense anymore. They're really, really struggling. Like they're kind of dead at this point. I know Anaheim, terrifying proposition to play an under in their game. Definitely don't want to play it right now because I think this same thing as that Edmonton San Jose game yesterday. I think this one only keeps going one way. So this is probably one that I'll play once. I'm not even going to say if. I'm going to say when the 7s flash later on tonight. I will bet like an under 7 -125 or -130 because it will for sure get there. So don't bother betting an under now. You'll get 7s later on, and I do like that because, man, Anaheim. I think they want to play better defensively. You know, so when you say bless their hearts, bless Anaheim's hearts because they need a little bit of a push defensively. They dressed 8 D-men the other night. They're trying. They're really trying. So hopefully we can see a little bit of a better defensive effort from them here. But yeah, San Jose can't get anything going right now outside of the power play. So I think it's a decent spot for it.
I completely agree with that. At under 6.5 plus 115 right now, I have an edge regardless of what the goalie combination ends up being in that game. It's one I've ignored so far. I've pretend I don't see it.
Yeah.
But I do like that under 6.5 as well. That's it, guys. 14 games in half an hour. Pretty good job. Hopefully, so money for maybe the first time this year can hit a Canucks wager. Actually wagering on them, but yeah, it looks like we're aligned on a lot of stuff this tonight's card. So good luck to you guys. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right.
See ya.
Alex Moretto, So Money Sports. Before we close things out, obviously smash that like button. Comments help as well. If you're watching this after the fact, comment down below. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. All of that matters. But before we wrap up here, we're going to do some goal scorer props. It's been a long time since I've given out goal scorer props. Now, naturally, I don't want this to come across as arrogant or anything like that, but people who know me, they know my expertise for many years has been in hockey for a long time. That doesn't mean you should go and bet every single one of these for a lot of money or whatever. They're all very marginal edges. You could round robin parlay. You could do whatever. But I'm going to give out 5 props, goal scorer props that I like tonight. I'll give a slight reasoning why. But for those of you who want to build out a model or handicap this yourselves going forwards, there's a lot of luck involved in scoring goals. So what I try to do is look for players who exhibit a lot of signs of scoring goals, but it just hasn't got there yet for whatever reason. Poor shooting percentage, it could be a number of things. But that's the way that I break it down. So I'm going to give out 5 NHL goal scorer props tonight. They may all lose. We may go 3-2. We may go 5-0. Everything's on the table, but just bet responsibly with this stuff. Don't go overboard just because I gave it. And I'll reference all the FanDuel numbers here. Let's start with the Flyers and the Red Wings. Flyers and Red Wings, I'll give you guys, 10 seconds or so to pull up the goal scorer props from that particular game. And we are going to go with Andrew Kopp plus 460 to score a goal in Flyers Red Wings. 4.5 individual expected goals, 15 shots across the last 11 games. Now, that's not a ton necessarily, but when you're talking about a price that's nearly 5-1, and your average shot quality is 0.3 expected goals, it's not a guy that's shooting from the perimeter a lot. He's getting to the slot, getting in front of the net. 1 goal on that profile in the past month is a lot of noise. So I like Andrew Kopp at plus 460. Second game, Ducks and Sharks. Ducks and Sharks. I got rewarded for this bet on the weekend, I think. It might have been Saturday night. Can't recall. It's someone I've been targeting pretty regularly here. But Beckett, Seneca at plus 210 on FanDuel to score a goal. In the last month, 41 shots generating 8.3 individual expected goals. So you are getting massive volume from this guy. Lots of quality looks, San Jose is a soft matchup. I know I like the under a little bit in that game, but when you look at where this total is in market, it's one of the higher ones there. So plus 210, Beckett, Seneca in one of the late games. Back to early. Florida at Ottawa. That's going to be our next stop. Panthers and Senators. And I am going to take Dylan Cousins at plus 210. Dylan Cousins leading up that second line at center right now. Again, another guy over the course of the last month that is just peppering shots. 47 shots on goal, 8.7 individual expected goals. He's firing at will. He generates premium looks per shot. His expected goal rate, if you were just to remove actual goals, would make him a coin flip to score on any given night. Now, he's not a true coin flip, but plus 210, I think, definitely worthy of a bet for Ottawa, Florida. Carolina, Chicago. We laughed about this game earlier. It's not a game that we want to take a side or total on. Kind of a meaningless one. Well, let's add a little bit of meaning into Carolina and Chicago for tonight. And we're going to go with Jackson Blake at plus 240. Again, another guy with a lot of volume, shooting percentage down at 7.9% for him over the course of the past month. You'd expect a player of his caliber and the shot quality that he's getting to have a shooting percentage of higher than 10%. Carolina, a pretty prohibitive road favorite. They probably will see a lot of offensive zone time. Look to get a guy like Jackson Blake a little bit more ice time as well. So I like him at plus 240. And we're going to wrap it up with a long shot here. We're going to go Tampa Bay and Montreal. This will be the longest shot on the board. And again, this is purely based off of price. Not saying that he's going to score. In fact, he's had a real hard time scoring for the last little while. But I'm going to take Josh Anderson at 7-1. 0.38 expected goals per game across his last 13 games. Almost 0.4 expected goals per game across the last 13 games. A lot of bad variance has hit him. Obviously not going to get the ice time that a lot of other guys are going to get here. We're looking in the range of 11 to 13 minutes, something like that. But his chance quality has been generally really good, and he hasn't been able to put it in the net. So the math here is pretty clean. 7-1 on Josh Anderson. That's going to wrap up our 5 goal scorers. Andrew Kopp, Beckett Seneca, Dylan Cousins, Jackson Blake, and Josh Anderson to score. 5 props, all rooted in a little bit of handicapping, some analysis there. But get those in on FanDuel. Good luck with those tonight. All right. That's going to do it for the show today. I'm going to lock into Masters mode this afternoon. Mike, I don't know what you're up to, but I know you got a little bit of traveling to do on the train back home. But, you know.
Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes, so I'll probably turn on the Masters on the train pending service through, back eastbound's good. But, yeah, I'll be watching the Masters. It's the only golf tournament that I actually watch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, about the people who complain about it, it's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It feels big enough that you would watch it.
Yeah, like I will watch it this weekend. It'll genuinely be on in the background, whatever. I mean, I'm at the Jays game on Saturday, so I won't be watching there. But, yeah, I mean, I'll be watching it all weekend.
All right. Well, so will I. That's going to do it for today's show. Big thanks to Mr. Peanut Butter for coming on. Great conversations on the NBA. We will continue to monitor the Brad Powers situation very closely here at the Hammer, as there is a budding rivalry that seems to be brewing. Big thanks to Alex Moretto, So Money Sports, for holding it back on the Edgework side. 14 games tonight. You could tail them. You could do your own research. Whatever. They broke down the games. Good luck to you there. Shout out to Mike behind the boards, keeping everything running smoothly today. Genuinely appreciate it. And shout out to you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I know this wasn't expected when you clicked on the show today, but I appreciate you sticking with it. I mean, I don't know that there's a lot of people that are tuning in for Jason per se, but he's got his shtick, his routine, and this might have been outside of that. So if you stuck through, hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe if you haven't. Rate and review on the podcast side. 5 stars. All of that matters. All of it, please. Jason will be back when he has served his time and when he's reflected on his actions. Until then, he will not be back. And we got the rotation of hosts. Tomorrow, who we got, Mike? Is it G-Stack?
Yeah, we got G-Stack George. Friday and Monday, I believe.
Friday, Monday, G-Stack George, locking it down, Hammer Daily. I'm Rob Pizzola filling in for Jason Cooper. This has been the Thursday, April 9th edition of the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends at FanDuel. We will see you guys right back here at noon Eastern time tomorrow.